it's always lit over at AJsRANTroom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. And introducing our first shoe line, Aloysius Germain. So get on over to AJsRANTroom.com today and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Booty mo, baby. What's up, everybody? Yo, where is everybody today? Like, dang, where's everybody today? What's going on? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me in these streets? Let me know. Hold on. Happy hump day, everybody. Clearly, I don't know what's going on here, but we have weirdly low number today. But we're gonna do it anyway, of course. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Hope you're good. We got a lot to cover in terms of how we're winning and how they are still mad. Hallelujah. Yes, never, never, never I say for the... I'm not going to sing that on here. But you know the rest. If you know, you know. If you don't know, oh well, move on. Anyway, where are we in these streets? All right, cool. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you share the live stream, comment, subscribe, please. And if you do subscribe for the first time, hit that notification bell so you get alerts every time we go live or we upload. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So let's get started. The United States forces are actively abroad and seizing a Venezuelan oil tanker that is Russian flagged. We're going to get into all of that and what the Trump administration is really up to here. And the U.S. military got to it before Russia. So the vessel was located between Iceland and the United Kingdom and tried to get around President Trump's blockades, but failed. Meanwhile, a second tanker in the Caribbean is about to be seized. Let me tell y'all, this is huge.
The ship, previously known as the Bella One, had been accused of violating American sanctions and shipping Iranian oil. The ship has also transported Venezuelan oil in the past, but is reporting to be empty right now. Photos showing a U.S. Army Little Bird helicopter with a boarding party on the skids have been seen abeam of the tanker. Little Birds are flown by the U.S. military's elite 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, known as the Night Stalkers. This is the same unit that flew into Venezuela to grab Nicolas Maduro and his wife last weekend as part of the full Pegasus package ordered by President Trump. Now, Russia reportedly deployed a submarine and other vessels to escort the oil tanker. It appears the U.S. military got there first. The sanctioned tanker was recently reflagged to become a Russian vessel. Last month, President Trump ordered a full blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. And the U.S. Coast Guard had been trying to board the ship last month in the Caribbean when she was heading to Venezuela. The Justice Department issued a warrant to seize that ship over its alleged sanctions violations for transporting oil on behalf of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is classified as a foreign terrorist organization. The tanker then changed course and raced to Europe, with the U.S. Coast Guard cutter in hot pursuit to shadow the tanker. In recent days, the U.S. military sent a boarding team of commandos to Britain for the mission of boarding and taking down the tanker. Previous tracking data showed the sanctioned tanker about 100 miles south of Iceland, likely trying to get to Russia. And now, Dana, U.S. forces are reportedly trying to seize a second oil tanker in the Caribbean. As we've just learned, we are working to confirm that second report, Dana.
So these Eastern musties, They're meddling over here. And that is the whole purpose of why we are here today, ladies and gentlemen. And we are under the leadership of a gangster administration. Yes, 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 yes. President Trump is holding no punches. He does not care. He's battle tested, and nothing makes that more clear than his 2024 election bid, right? Correct? After allegedly losing the 2020 election and a well-staged January 6th riot, which you saw. Did y'all see the Democrats? They really trying to make fetch happen. Nobody cares about January 6th. Nobody, not even Democrats. They don't care about January 6th. They just have to keep it because this is the emotionalism. They have to keep it in the forefront of your mind that this travesty happened. Nothing happened. I mean, Ashley Babbitt lost her life, rest in peace. And, some people did get hurt. But other than that, it was not the tragedy they would love for this to be. And then did y'all see Nancy Pelosi when she was asked yesterday about it, where she could barely walk? She's like half dead. And they're like, you know, why didn't you? And she's like, I never said that. That's a right wing talking point. And they flashed to her video, literally her admitting that she failed. This was your fault. This was your problem. We got the records. Trump asked for the National Guard. He asked for the extra security. No, but instead y'all wanted to rig this. So we all know January 6th was a hit job, But after the January 6th riots and after the 2020 election, which Trump to this day says was stolen, and he's not going to back down from that, they thought if he ever tried to run again, he was dead in the water. It wasn't going to happen. Nobody was going to vote for this man. How dare you try to, initiate an insurrection, which he had nothing to do with. He never initiated anything. He never told these people to go compromise the capital. He never told them to do any of this. He never, right? Yeah. But anyway, they thought if he ever tried to run again, it was absolutely over, or so they thought. Trump may have lost the election, allegedly. But one couldn't help but notice how much his popularity had grown. He had gotten more votes than in the previous election, right? So Democrats took note of that. That's how you had to get 81 million votes out of your ass. My dead mother voted, allegedly. So Democrats weaponized. They said, well, hey, this January 6th stuff is not sticking the way we need it to stick, right? So we got to change course. So they started weaponizing their Justice Department. At least Biden didn't know any of this was going on because he's half dead himself. And so they appointed, they weaponized their Justice Department. They appointed rogue attorney generals in states like New York. They tried to get them for classified. They tried to get Trump for a classified document. Remember, they raided Mar-a-Lago. They went through Melania's underwear drawer and all of that stuff. And then, that was a whole bunch of malarkey. And then they tried to sell us on he tried to steal the election. He called Georgia and threatened them and told them to get them votes and all of that crap, only to find out there were actual real problems in Georgia with the count. But of course the media spins it as, well, yeah, it was 350,000 votes that were a little weird, but that's not why he would have still lost. Then is the state of New York suing him for doing what billionaire moguls have done since the beginning of time, which is puff up their numbers. Every billionaire media magnate has gone on television and said, we do the same things. These things that they're trying to take this man down for, we all do it. Why is he being singled out? And then when everyone else is worried, like, well, are we going to be next? And they're like, no, we're not gonna do anything to you. So that's how you knew right there that there was a political hit, But it is what it is, and y'all can all go look this stuff up. Like, I don't care. You can believe whatever you want, At this point, you're pretty much going to anyway. And so that wasn't enough. So they put him on trial and turned what would have ordinarily been a misdemeanor into 34 felony counts. So we can paint that narrative, he's a convicted felon, that became the tagline, after they got that conviction, they can now run, because you had Kamala Harris dingbat. She wanted to, oh my gosh. This couldn't, anyway. convicted felon, right? So that became the tagline. And when they saw that none of that was really sticking, that his popularity, the poll numbers weren't working in Kamala Harris's favor, they said, well, this is actually before Kamala. This is before Kamala was thrown in the race. Biden was like still holding on for dear life. I still want to run. I still want to run. They said, well, let's just kill him. And that's what happened on January. That's what they tried to do on July 13th, 2024. And the only Trump rally that was aired on CNN, the only rally they aired, the only Trump rally they live streamed. But he got up to everyone's, it took a moment because everyone's like, he was down there for a while. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, they just assassinated Trump. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. Then he gets up and he tells us to fight. And we did just that. Yep, we fought. He worked at McDonald's. He went to Chick-fil-A. He did all the common man things. Because the one thing I do respect about Trump is that he acknowledges that his world, his privilege is an anomaly, right? He acknowledges that this is not normal. Most people don't live how I live, right? And so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that what my lifestyle and the things that I've been able to build and attain in this world is somehow the average man. It's not. It's an anomaly. It's in the clouds. It's a mere dream for most of us, right? Anyway, he got up and told us to fight, and we won. And he ran one of the most immaculate campaigns, and Kamala had no chance. Biden had no chance. That's why they pushed him out, because they saw the internal polling. They knew he wasn't going to win. So let's fast forward to today. We have this running narrative right now that Trump's activity in Venezuela wasn't really about freeing the people of Venezuela, but rather about oil. Now, let me be clear. That's a lazy take. That's the surface level. That's the Twitter-brained argument that people repeat because it sounds clever without actually requiring thought. The truth is, this is part of a much bigger chess move about power, about leverage, and protecting the Americas as a whole. This is about positioning. This is about dominance. This is about deterrence. Now, you've got these these idiots online who say Donald Trump is America last. These fake MAGA people, oh, I voted for Trump and I didn't get what I wanted in 5 minutes. And so I'm out. I don't like him anymore. Those people. Because what people fail to understand is that MAGA is a populist movement, right? It's not Republican Party only, right? It's a populist movement. So you have liberals, conservatives, Republicans, Democrats, independents, Green Party, everybody's there, libertarians, everybody, right? Everybody with a little bit of sense to understand that the common man had been left behind in American politics. So when you realize that the common man had been left behind in American politics, you form this big tent. And they made Trump more popular and more electable because once you saw what the Biden administration did or didn't do, you were like, well, this is the other option. So we're going to go with this, right? And so the fact that Trump got more popular with each election, first election, second, third election, he was more popular than ever, right? Got more votes than any Republican president in the history of the United States. Was the first Republican in 20 years to win the popular vote and the Electoral College. So yeah. This was definitely a mandate, and he has responded damn well. So all this America last stuff and Israel stuff, Trump told y'all. Let me talk to the boneheads right quick. Trump told y'all right out the gate what his position was on Israel, and you still voted for him. So when he does things that seem very pro-Israel, why are you shocked? Now, I've disagreed with some of it. I absolutely disagreed with Israel trying to circumvent our First Amendment through our federal government to tell people on college campuses that they can't contest things like the Holocaust. I mean, if you can't contest things in college, then where the hell can you do it? Like, that's the place to do it, right? So yeah, I vehemently disagreed with that. You can't rework the definition of anti-Semitism to your convenience and then try to use the federal government to censor Americans. That's not how that works. So yeah, I absolutely disagreed with that. But then this whole concept that he he's reckless and that he's impulsive. But if you actually look at the moves President Trump is making, not the headlines, but the moves, he is absolutely putting the United States of America first. And America first does not mean America isolated, America first means America protected, America respected, America positioned to win long term. That entails making moves with foreign adversaries and unstable regimes that ultimately benefit the American people. Some folks think that America first means you put the United States in a bubble and you ignore the rest of the world, pretend threats don't exist, and somehow prioritize just magically and prosperity just magically maintains itself. That's not how that works. That's not how geopolitics work, ladies and gentlemen. That's not how power works. That's not how history works. You don't maintain dominance by hiding. You maintain dominance by shaping the environment around you. You build strong alliances. You lock down your hemisphere. You make bold, affirmative moves before your enemies make them for you. That's what leadership looks like. Now, I keep seeing people say the current issue with Venezuela started during Trump's first term. Even the clip I'm going to play of Stephen A. Smith in a moment says that. But no. The issue with Venezuela actually started with the Obama administration. And I'm going to show you. So we're going to pull up this executive order from the Trump administration, from the Biden, from Lord, get my presidents right. Obama. Oh man, so this is from the Obama White House archive. So nobody's saying that it's made up or it's AI or we foo la la and or whatever. We're not. Obama today issued a new executive order declaring a national emergency with respect to the unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States posed by the situation in Venezuela. The targeted sanctions in the EO implement the Venezuela Defense of Human Rights and Civil Society Act of 2014, which the president signed on December 18th, 2014, and also go beyond the requirements of this legislation. We are committed to advancing respect for human rights, safeguard democratic institutions, and protecting the U.S. financial system from illicit financial flow from public corruption in Venezuela. The new authority is aimed at persons involved in or responsible for the erosion of human rights guarantees, persecution of political opponents, curtailment of press freedoms, use of violence and human rights violations, abuses in response to anti-government protests and arbitrary arrest and detention of anti-government protesters, as well as the significant public corruption by senior government officials in Venezuela. The executive order does not target the people or the economy of Venezuela. Specifically, the executive order targets those determined by the Department of Treasury in consultation with the Department of State to be involved in actions or policies that undermine democratic processes or institutions, significant acts of violence or conduct that constitute a serious abuse or violation of human rights, including against persons involved in anti-government protests in Venezuela in or since February 2014. Actions that prohibit, limit, or penalize the exercise of freedom of expression or peaceful assembly or public corruption by senior officials within the government of Venezuela. The executive order also authorizes the Department of Treasury in consultation with the Department of State to target any person determined to be a current or former leader of an entity that has or whose members have engaged in any activity described in the executive order, or of an entity whose property and interests in property are blocked or frozen pursuant to the executive order, or to be current or or former official of the government of Venezuela. Individuals designated or identified for the imposition of sanctions under this executive order, including The 7 individuals that have been listed today in the annex of this executive order will have their property and interest in the United States blocked or frozen, and U.S. persons are prohibited from doing business with them. The executive order also suspends the entry into the United States of individuals meeting the criteria for economic sanctions. We will continue to work closely with others in the region to support greater political expression in Venezuela and encourage the Venezuelan government to live up to its shared commitment as articulated in the OAS Charter and the Inter-American Democratic Charter and other relevant instruments related to democracy and human rights. And so then it goes on to name the folks who were in charge at this time, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, because and then you can go read it for yourself. You can go read it for yourself. I have a link in the description. And then you can, not say that I'm pulling up, making up some right-wing conspiracy theory or, this is a lie, because, they love to say it's a lie. And then they think that because they say something's a lie, that's a fact. That's not a fact. That's just your opinion on it. But read it. Don't skim it. Read it. The United States officially designated Venezuela as a national security threat years ago. Over 10 years ago. Sanctions, restrictions, pressure, all of that groundwork was laid long before Trump was even in office. Long before he came down the escalator, long before he was really officially in the race. So this idea that Democrats were somehow peaceful and Trump came in swinging is a lie. The only difference is Democrats postured and they stalled, and Trump is a man of action. And that leads perfectly into this clip from Stephen A. Smith, who, in his very own Stephen A. way, said it out loud, and he meant it.
My position is one of questions, and I get myself in trouble asking questions, but I'm never going to stop because my nature as a journalist is to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about the United States and I think about our government in the nation's capital, I need somebody to make it make sense for me. Didn't Trump originally put a $15 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head?
Correct.
In his first term in office?
Yep. Sure did.
The answer to that would be yes.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't President Joe Biden in 2025, before leaving office, put a $25 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head?
Sure did.
The answer to that would be yes.
Up the ante.
Didn't President Trump come back after putting the $15 million bounty on Maduro's head, after witnessing Joe Biden put a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head, up the ante by increasing that bounty to $50 million?
Ooh,
the answer to that would be yes.
Yes, sir.
So if we as a government crossing party lines,
come on, Stephen,
mingling with other administrations in terms of mirroring their agenda as it pertains to this specific individual, if that is what happened, what's the problem?
There's no problem, sir. It's called the game of politics, Stephen A. This isn't politically expedient for Democrats. They don't want Trump and his administration to win. This is about politics. So yes, both parties participated in this. The pressure didn't magically appear. The bounty grew under multiple administrations. The sanctions expanded under multiple administrations. Biden stayed passive, cautious, afraid of headlines. Trump? We know Trump don't care. We know Trump's a gangster. I'm a gangster. Now, let me be clear. When I say that we do not do dictators in the Western Hemisphere, not here, not anywhere. That's for them Eastern musties. Y'all do dictators. We don't do that here on this side. The Western Hemisphere is not where you find those types of characters. You dared President Trump to come get you, and you got. Now, if you want the legal breakdown on war crimes, kidnapping, international law, go check out Monday's episode of the Lunchtime Rant. I already laid all of that out. That's not why we're here today. Today, it's about understanding the bigger picture, because while Democrats are playing emotionalism and socialism, the Trump administration is playing 5D chess. We've seen this pattern over and over again. The left does not care about logical consistency. They care about optics. They care about these grand performative gestures, a la January 6th. They care about how something feels, not whether it makes sense. And Venezuela is a perfect example. I mean, the White House had to drop receipts, and they dropped some receipts. The White House posted on their X account exposing the political theater Democrats want you trapped in. By every metric, Americans should be cheering in the streets, just happy, elated with the decisive action against a hostile dictator. Remember, no kings. We've had 2 no kings protests. And now, because it's President Trump, you're in the streets protesting the protections and of a literal dictator, of a man who literally stole an election and refused to leave office, was told he lost, was proved by the populace that he lost, and he still refused to go. But because these people have been conditioned to oppose anything Donald Trump says, I mean, they will root against their own country before admitting President Trump is right. The closest they've gotten to giving Trump props was what you call it? What was that? Israel. When he came up with the peace deal in Israel, that was the closest they got to saying anything remotely close to giving President Trump his props, because they can't do it, because the agenda is resist no matter what. They don't care. It's not about right and wrong. Again, it's always been about power. That's it. We want power because we want to control all this wild legislation and all this crazy stuff. This is what we want in here. But this is the Trump administration pulling out receipts on these modes. And we are going right to X. Where are we? We're here. Boom. So Democrats have switched their tune on Maduro in Venezuela while President Trump is the one taking action. Democrats are not keeping their word on Venezuela. So they posted a whole thread where they called everybody out. So this is Chucky. And then the president brags about his Venezuela policy. Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began. Oh, now, today in 2025, 2026, this is reckless. And the American people are just this morning in fear of what's going to happen here. Do you think if President Biden, because President Harris would have not made this decisive action because she wouldn't have been in control of her White House. They would have been telling her what to do, because we all know she's not smart. She's not smart. Then you have Elizabeth Warren. Maduro is a dictator and a crook. The United States should lead the international community in addressing Venezuela's humanitarian crisis and supporting regional efforts to negotiate a political transition. 2026. The American people voted for lower costs, not for Trump's dangerous military adventurism overseas that won't make the American people safer. Politics. These people are playing politics with your lives. They don't care. Then, this is Dick Durbin, a senator. I don't know what state, and I don't care. We can't allow this president's short attention span to stop us from delivering on our promise to help the Venezuelan people rebuild their country. Now, I disagree with President Trump's use of U.S. military forces without congressional approval and worry deeply about this administration's follow through on foreign policy intervention. So, which one is it? We freeing the people, or we just going to continue just allowing these musties from the Eastern Hemisphere to come over here and intervene? Are we just going to keep allowing that? No, we should not allow that. Senator Tim Kaine. Wow, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. Didn't he ran with Hillary Clinton, right? Right, he was the one, right? It was him, right? Anyway, then this is a deeply concerning development for Venezuelans and the entire region, since instability abroad impacts us here at home too. In 2026, President Trump's unauthorized military attack on Venezuela to arrest Maduro is a sickening return to a day when the United States asserted the right to dominate the internal political affairs of all nations in the Western Hemisphere. These people can't be serious. You cannot be serious. And you have Senator Chris Van Hollen. Obviously, we know Maduro and his cronies do not want to go quietly into the night, but the United States needs to work with its partners and allies in the region to ratchet up the pressure. Now, it's an illegal act of war to replace Maduro. These people, Rep. Jamie Raskin, the Democratic world must stand up for the rule of law in Venezuela and oppose Maduro's assault on the electoral process and free speech. 2026, Trump is not only violating our Constitution, he is not. He's violated nothing constitutionally, but he is shredding the rules-based international order created after World War II. Sir. Oh, we have one more. Amy Klobuchar. I have, of course, supported bringing in the new president and delegitimizing the Maduro government. 2026, I have strongly opposed sending American forces into harm's way in Venezuela without authorization from Congress. Wars for regime change can lead to unintended consequences. You people are full of bullcrap. You're full of it. And you know you're full of it. You know you're so full of it that even when we pull up the receipts like this, when we literally read your own words back to you, you sit there with a straight face and act like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. You have every eye. You know exactly what we're talking about. But again, this has never been about right and wrong. This has always been about them having power. If they don't have power, they lose their minds. They go absolutely batshit crazy. So this has never been about any of that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not principled opposition. That's brainwashing. And this is why I keep saying the Democrat Party does not care about the American people. They care about power. Power by any means necessary. This has never been about putting the American people first. It's been about controlling the narrative, injecting emotion into the media cycle, and flooding social media with half-truths to create the illusion of failure where none exists. They'll say, going to pick up the dictator of Venezuela that we've been after since Obama was president wasn't about freeing the Venezuelan people. It was about oil. And ladies and gentlemen, newsflash. Yes, oil is a factor, but not the reason they want you to believe it is.
Need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil
We
companies?
also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela in 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Let's talk.
Facts. How could you not understand that? How could you not understand that? Energy isn't about profit. Energy is about leverage. Energy is about independence. Energy is security. When hostile regimes control energy sources in the Western Hemisphere, they don't just sell oil, they sell influence, people. They fund adversaries. They undermine currencies. They invite China and Russia and Iran into our backyard. But yes, it's about oil, but not for the reasons you think it is. We don't need the oil, but we'll take a few barrels of it so we can make gas about $1.38 in the United States. Of course, we'll take some. That's why this conversation cannot be separated from the Monroe Doctrine. Now, you've probably heard President Trump talking about the Monroe Doctrine recently, and a lot of people clearly don't know what it is. The Monroe Doctrine was introduced in 1823 by President James Monroe. Its message was simple: Europe, stay away. Stay out of the Americas, North and South. And in return, the United States will stay out of European wars. Translation: the Western Hemisphere is our sphere of influence. No foreign empires, no permanent foreign military bases, no hostile powers setting up near our borders. That doctrine protected this hemisphere for generations. Today, the threat isn't Europe. It's China, it's Russia, and it's Iran. And that's why when Marco Rubio spoke about the capture of Maduro, he made it crystal clear that this wasn't about oil profits for the United States of America. It was about hemispheric control. In a rare moment of clarity in the video you just saw, he said the quiet part out loud. The Western Hemisphere is ours, baby. And adversaries need to get out. You need to get your musty dictator, socialism, communism behinds on with it, because we don't want that here. If you look at a map of the world, there's us, and then there's all the rest. Now, the way President Trump wants to update or frame the Monroe Doctrine in 2026 is by making sure the United States is the undisputed big dog in the Western Hemisphere. That includes Greenland. That includes Cuba. That includes Venezuela. That includes Colombia. That's why you're hearing so much about the involvement in these regions again. This is America first, ladies and gentlemen. This is America first in practice, in action. And Democrats hate it because it actually works. And so when you deprive China and Iran and Russia of oil, they can't fight wars. They not like us. They not like us. So what does the Monroe Doctrine look like in 2026? It looks like energy dominance, oil, gas, lithium, rare earths. These resources in the Americas cannot fall under hostile control. We cannot have this in the hands of our adversaries, ladies and gentlemen. America first. The Monroe Doctrine in 2026, it looks like financial dominance. The dollar system must remain dominant in the Western Hemisphere. America first. It looks like military exclusion. No adversary gets to set up permanent bases near U.S. territories. Are you mad? You got crack on your brain? America first. It looks like information and technology. You know, we need that. We need that under control too. So that's telecom, that's satellites, that's artificial intelligence, that's surveillance. These matter just as much as tanks do. America first. This isn't about war, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you do a military strike doesn't mean it's a war, because of course that's what boneheads on TikTok want you to believe. This has never been about war. This is about preventing war, one, and President Trump genuinely wants peace. Real peace. And for sometimes for peace, you're gonna have to kick a little ass. Not the fake peace Democrats sell, you know, while funding chaos through weakness. Not that kind of peace. I'm not talking about that kind of peace. So when you hear simpletons comparing this to Iraq, ask yourself whether they're ignorant or if they're just being flat out dishonest. Yeah. It's one or the other, but it's definitely not the truth. The Monroe Doctrine is literally peace through clarity, peace through strength. And if Democrats actually cared about peace, they would support it. But they don't, because Trump succeeding destroys their entire worldview. This isn't some conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't nefarious. This is a man who has been saying this. Donald Trump has been saying this. You can literally look up old clips of Donald Trump in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. He has been very consistent. And he was very clear in the 80s. If America ever got sold out, or if we were continuing to be sold, because we were being sold out at that time in the 80s, but he said if it continued, if it got worse, if it got to a point where he could no longer ignore it, he would step in. And that's when he came down that escalator in 2015, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And whether you like it or not, whether you voted for him or not, you should never want your president to fail. Why would you want the commander-in-chief of your nation to fail? Why would you not want your country to be dominant and in control as it has always been? Why would you want us to continue to be sold out to foreign nations? And if I hear another thing about currency to Argentina or money to Argentina, it was a currency exchange. Just shut up. Because let's be clear, if America fails, if our president fails, we all fail. I never wanted President Biden to fail. As much as I thought he was reckless and aloof and wasn't really there, we all could tell that he wasn't really running that White House. But the last thing I would have ever wanted was for him to fail. Really, Prince? Oh, God. Anyway, so that's what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. This is not about some frivolous, oh, the United States needs the oil. Yeah, it helps. It helps reduce our gas prices. Did y'all see the people in Iowa celebrating? I think gas was like $1 something. Yeah. In those instances, yeah, it's cool. But that's not the main reason why we're doing it. We want to keep the Western hemisphere the Western Hemisphere. That's why the acquisition of Greenland doesn't sound so bad. Because when you have Russian and Chinese influence in that area, that's a direct threat to the Western Hemisphere. So why would we not want a discussion of acquiring Greenland from Denmark? Oh, not true, not true, not true. It's all BS. Thanks for the super chat, Prince. Appreciate it. None of it's true. It's BS. They lie. All the time. All the time. All the time. I would have seen the super chat later. But thank you, Prince. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, I forget. I forget that we're monetized here and that we can get things like super chats and stuff, and there's memberships and all of that stuff. And so yeah, if you so wish to support the channel, that's one way to do it. Drop a super chat or join our memberships. There'll be some good exclusive videos coming up. I'm gonna tell you right now. You want to get into some of my personal business, you might want to get a little membership going. But anyway, where was I? Yes, this is about protecting the Western Hemisphere. Yes, this is about the Monroe Doctrine. Yes, this is about literally a doctrine that so many presidents ignored. Now, we forgot who the F we were. So when you forget who the F you are, yeah, people got to buck up. Let you know. So it is what it is. Anyway, I have ranted. Thank you guys so much for listening. We have 13 minutes to stretch. So oh my God, no, I don't have an OF, Prince. Although it was really tempting at one point. I will not lie. It was really tempting at one point or another in my tenure. But anyway, thank you all so much. Please make sure you like, please make sure you share, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and then hit that notification bell once you do all of that. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We came into this new year monetized. So there's we started the new year off right. And so hopefully it's just up and up from here. I'm not I'm not in the super PACs. I'm not in the TPUSA super PAC. My LLC doesn't get any special money from any of those organizations. So everything is organic. In fact, thank you all so much who have bought merch at the end of the year and the top of the year, because your purchases help me get a new backdrop, which is going to be delivered today. And so the thing that actually holds up the backdrop, so it's not sticking against the window here like it is right now. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. And so, yeah, we're piece by piece, we'll start upgrading things as we move along here. Because, the thing is, people often think that because you're doing this, that you're just pocketing the money. And it's like, no, most of the money that I get from this goes right back into doing this, right? And it's thousands of hours of work. People don't realize that. People don't realize the amount of research you have to do. People don't realize the time consuming rabbit holes you go down that end up in dead ends, and all of that stuff. And then what do you want to present? It isn't entertaining. And then even though your heart might want to do this, but it might not get you enough clicks, likes, and views. And also, if you have not done so, because I was really irritated with the numbers from yesterday's show. And this is the issue that I have when I talk about police brutality. The right just sort of shuts their brain off, like they don't comprehend police brutality, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not this rampant thing that the left makes it, but it happens. And when it does happen, especially when the person is talking about they love black people and they want to see oppression eradicated and all this other stuff and white privilege and white supremacy, and they're talking all that good stuff, and then you literally catch them in the act of beating the brakes off of someone. Yes, that's what you should support. So if you haven't watched yesterday's show, just scroll on. It's literally what is it called? Let me get the exact title of the show so we're not misleading folks. But click on my name. Click on my name. Click on my name. There we go. My name. Of course, it doesn't come up in the feed. Right. Okay, yeah. So it's called "Racist White Liberal Cop Brutalizes Black Man, Then Plays Victim." So yes. So if you haven't done so already, please support that. I mean, I would say of the 3 we've done so far in the new year, that's the most important one to me, and it should be to you as well, because you have a lot of these activists who will infiltrate movements just to make a profit, you know. And so when you're not calling these people out, I'm pretty sure if it was the other way around, if he had a live stream calling me out, y'all be throwing super chats at him, and not y'all, but folks would be throwing super chats at him, supporting him, thousands, run the numbers up. He'll make a whole bunch of money off of it, and then move on to the next set of oppression talking points. And so, yeah, we gotta expose people like this. In fact, let me put the thumbnail up for that episode because it's pretty. Replace image. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's semi-frozen, so we gotta wait until it's not semi-frozen. We're waiting. Okay, there we go. All right. So yesterday. Ah, man. That's the background I had, but where's the thumbnail from yesterday's show? Where's that? Oh, there it is. Oh yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, so that's the thumbnail. If you go to yesterday's show, that's me calling homeboy out. And he's big on TikTok, he's big here on YouTube. He has growing platforms because he's connected to all of these influencers. And I can see that the image is processing and it hasn't gone up yet, which is annoying. It's processing. It just says processing, and then this blue line keeps going across. Says processing, blue line, processing, blue line. There it is. All right, now there we go. So yes, that's him. That's David Schwartz. And so that live stream, should really have blown up, and for some reason it didn't. And so I'm gonna push it, and I'll probably end up uploading it again just as a video, and so maybe that'll help as well. But definitely, the right can't ignore it because the left is going to. And so I know we don't like to talk police brutality. I know. But we have to. So support that video, send it to people, make sure you share it, make sure you comment on it, make sure you hit the like button. Appreciate you. Thank you much. Now, in terms of supporting this channel, wait, did I skip that video? Oh, no, I didn't skip that. All right, cool. If you would like to support this channel, you can head on over to ajsrantroom.com. That's ajsrantroom.com. That's our new logo. That's our new 2026 logo that was just revealed. I love the upgrade. Beautiful, beautiful hoodie. I can't wait till mine gets here. I got the yellow one, so you'll see me in the yellow one soon enough. And it comes in black, it comes in white, it comes in red, and blue and red, depending on your flavor. And so then and then we also have, if you don't want to pay extra amount a month for a hoodie, we have t-shirts that are a little more affordable. So, and they're not $30. I think they're like $25. So you'll be all right. Now, if you go on the larger side, the price will go up a little bit because you got to pay for extra fabric, just saying. But support. That's how you can support the channel, by going to ajsrantroom.com. If you would like to buy me a coffee, or in this case a tea, you can go to buymeacoffee.com or scan this beautiful QR code, or you can put in AJ's Rant Room. We also accept cash apps at the AJ's Rant. At the AJ's Rant? No, at AJ's Rant. Oh, it's literally right there in my face. Also, my Friday podcast is called The Rant Experience, and it's 8 p.m. every Friday. It's more of a variety show. We do include politics and pop culture and all of that fun stuff. So you can go there and really be about it. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. I still have 5 minutes. Do you have any questions? I really thought I had enough to like push. You know what? You know what? If that was a super chat, Tony, I would have put it on the screen. But I'm not. I'm not gonna put that on the screen. Oh God. Anyway, why Prince gotta pay a fat tax? I cannot. I'm done. I'm done. But anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow. Thursday is our Friday on the Lunchtime Rant, because we can't do 2 shows Friday because there's a lot of stuff that goes into the 2 shows, and then making content and editing content and then producing new videos. Now that we're monetized, we have to start pumping out content on this channel like firecrackers. So we're setting all that up, and yeah, the real work starts now. So there we go. If there are no questions, we will politely exit stage left, and we love you long time. Thank you much. Appreciate you. Later.